look, it's the most wonderful time of some people's years. I mean, I experienced joy. My Wolves have won two, almost three games in a row. What is winning like? I don't know. Kevin De Bruyne is still carrying the midfield in Man City, and his back is still strong for it. And we're not talking about any of this because we just finished the last women's international friendly of the year. That window is now complete. We saw lots of good games. We saw Brazil go to Australia and have a good time. We saw France play Nigeria and some learning lessons there. We saw the US go on tour in Europe and have a draw and a nice win defending. And we have our teams. Our teams did some stuff. And also, the Ghana FA decided that apparently the Black Queens can't play because they make tournaments. So they can't have friendlies at the end of the year. But I'm not going to rant about that today. Because I'm very annoyed and upset about that. But besides that, we're here to talk about the women friendlies of 2024 in the December/November window. You know who I am. I'm the African. We talk about Canadian African content because I wouldn't be the Africans if we didn't do so. We have JD, who is your resident multi-passport man. Some days they call him Jason Bourne because he has so many passports. We don't know what to do with him, but he sometimes forgets who he is. He's still going on this whole Billy thing, so I'm not sure. But I see JD in the chat, so I think we have him back. We have him back here, so Blackwater did well. We are here. JD, how are you doing today? How's the life? How are you?
Well, thanks for having me. I would say life is okay. I'm finding ways to balance streaming life as well, with the normal life. But at this point, I have been taking a little break here and there because, as you said, it's this time of the month. Or the year, I should say, where in which it's more festive and stuff. You want to spend more time with your family and everything. But I did I had the opportunity to watch majority of these games and actually even cover some of them. So yes, I'm here for the breakdown. I heard you bragging about the wins and stuff. But tell you what, it's also the festive period for teams to play a lot of games. Yes. So you might be crying at the end.
It's okay. I want to enjoy. If you can just freeze it where it just says, Wolves just above the relegation line, just give me that moment because I've lived in it. I've lived in this pain for far too long. But guys, we're here to talk about the women's friendlies. If you're here live, leave a comment. Which team did you enjoy? We are going to focus a little bit on our teams here. The Super Falcons. We'll talk about Nigeria a little bit. We'll talk about Canada and the Reggae Girls because then that'll also give us a chance to talk a little bit about South Africa. And depending on how the time will go, we'll go. So leave your comments on the live if you're coming back here. Make sure you leave your comments in the comments below. And we go and we talk because, this is where, to steal a line from him, this is where football lives. Yeah. You look, see that smile? He hasn't smiled like that in years. It's been a while. It's been a long time.
Well, it is what it is. Where you want to start? Because we have a lot.
Let's start with the Falcons. Canada? No, let's start with the
Falcons. Okay, no problem.
Let's start with the Falcons.
Nigeria, okay.
Nigeria.
You would have started with Nigeria. Yes, exactly. Yes, continue.
I have to get them out of the way first before I speak about good. I had this conversation with my siblings where I was like, there's this rumor around me internationally that I don't like Nigerians or Jamaicans, apparently. I'm like, that's not true. They just that I'm consistently have a high bar with them, and that makes me seem like I'm a hater. It's not the case. I am just consistent.
And it's tough because the sad thing about it, I think Nigerians and Jamaicans are similar people. They are very proud people, and majority of the times when you pop up, results does not go the way of the teams that you're saying what will happen. And what I've realized that most people would not go back and actually check to see what you have said, they are just in the moment because they are passionate people. So that's one thing I think I've realized as well, because it happened to me on several occasions because I class myself as an analyst and things like that happen. So I don't think you should take it serious. I think both Nigerians and Jamaicans are passionate people, they work with their heart more than anything else. You understand me? And I will leave it right there.
Yeah, and the heart wants what it wants, and sometimes it doesn't get what it wants. So what are you gonna do? But we had Nigeria playing France. We had Nigeria. We had Nigeria playing France. We're gonna be professional today. It's not gonna last. They played France in Nigeria's only game, and that's a whole conversation. The African friendlies were a little bit sparse for my liking, just because. And I mean, I already made my only 5 cents on the Ghana situation. Apparently, if your men can't make an AFCON, your women can't play friendlies. Kurt, fix this or fix yourself, because I can't deal with this anymore. Okay, support the girls. But Nigeria goes over. It's not a full squad Nigeria side, as we can see, looking at their nines and everyone that they play. They play France. They lose 2-1. All the goals coming in the first half. We're using ESPN for the stats here, guys. So just full disclosure, this is what we're using. So if you have something else that you're saying, this is not what the stats are, we're just using ESPN here. 69 to 30.6, so about 70-30 in possession for France's way.
Yeah, 11 it's always right.
Yeah. And I watched most of this game. You watched it all. A fun stream that was, by the way, when I checked into it. It was a very fun stream. 11 shots on goal for France, 18 overall, 5 and 7 for Nigeria, 4 yellow cards, 10-5 in terms of corner kicks, 8 saves for Nigeria.
I think it's exactly correct. That's even more accurate than the soccer stuff and stuff, because they give you the points, rather than just squared it off the 70-30. Yeah.
But then you had Nigeria going, they have Alozi, Imran, Plumtree back, Ohale, and Nadozi in the back line. You don't have Oshala. You don't have
It's a lot. You don't have the border, Ashola. You don't have Kanu, Ajibade. You don't have Demi Hen as well. It's a lot of people. Jennifer, you don't have Jennifer there either. So you have a lot of people that could have added to the squad. But continue.
But no, and I think so. With all that being said, on paper, a 2-1 loss isn't a bad result. It's not a bad result. It does open the door for the conversation that we always have with Nigeria, where we say, if they bring all their hitters, if they bring all the big guns, France is, of the top 10 teams, France is the team that I trust the least. So I look at this and say, on a good day, France will play a good first half, and then their second half, for whatever reason, they'll drop off. And that'll come down to if Nigeria wants to play the crossbar challenge or the net challenge. And then depending on which one they play, then that'll give them a good listen. And that'll be
I don't know what is wrong with you and France, but I can tell you that the best thing happened in this game is the scoreline, Africans. This game should have easily well ended 10-2, 10-3, I would say, because they were better than Jamaica. In their performance as to how Jamaica played France. And Jamaica still had 2 opportunities. It fell to the wrong person at the wrong time. But it was dominant right through. It was not a first half or a second half. It's the entire 90 minutes. I actually thought that they figured out things, playing with the 4 or playing with the 5 as well. And they looked very, very good. I think it was Katoto. Was the person. She is like Diane 6.8. You understand me? Yes, they just blessed that of missing chances. So aside from that, I thought that they could have scored a lot of goals. So they performed well, man. I don't think Jamaica game was close or this game was close. The best thing upon is just the scoreline, nothing else. Just the scoreline.
No. I don't disagree with you there, but I do. It just speaks to the narrative I have for France. And again, yes, apparently I just don't believe in France ever. But I think for them, I think France is a side that will always tease you with the potential that they have, and I will never doubt that. But they've just never been able to put together that full game experience. And yes, this is a friendly. But if I'm Nigeria, yes, it was lopsided. Yes, it was dominant that way. But if you're Nigeria, you still were able to create chances against this team with not even your full squad. So in theory, hypothetically speaking, if they get this full squad and they play top teams, we saw at the Olympics, there's not a game they weren't in at the Olympics. There wasn't a game they weren't in for qualifying. The question is just, can they get the finishing when they need it, right? They seem to be a side that is just defend well, erupt for 4 goals, Australia at the World Cup, and then defend well, then tight games all throughout. Nigeria is a side that has yet for me to put it all together at this level. Maybe at AFCON this summer, they're able to do it and really just maybe stake claims to us, because they should be a better side than, say, South Africa. They should be a better side than the Moroccans. And outside of that, what other teams are really standing in their way in terms of the talent that they have at their disposal? It should be them. So I don't see this as necessarily a bad result for them. I know the flow will suggest other things, but you've just played a top 10 team in the world. And realistically, yes, it was lopsided in terms of chances, but you kept the score line that you were still in it. Yes, you have a red at the end of it, but you were still in this game, though it's felt at many times you were leaking like an open faucet. So there's much to take, and the fact that this was a lot of their depth, at least you now know as a coach, which is one thing, and you'll hear this refrain when I talk about the Canada games, at least they've learned something. Whether or not this is their coach or not, that's a whole nother conversation. But at least this roster, you've seen them against top players and you've seen how they react to that. And now the coach, or at least the program, has this in their backhand and say, okay, we've seen how Plumtree reacts against France. Okay, so then if they play, say, a team that's going to try to be physical with us at AFCON, okay, we know how she'll react to it. We know how Alozie will react to it, et cetera, et cetera. They at least have now a database on how they can play against these types of teams. I think that helps them. The result isn't what they're looking for, of course. I don't think I expected them to win based off the roster they were bringing, but at least for Nigeria, they've learned a little bit more about their depth for a friendly. That's all you can really ask for. Learn more about your depth so you know what to do walking to it.
Yeah, man, I would agree with you to say that, because when you're going into friendlies, it's just to break down things. See what your system is, who fits your system. I did say that, but I'm just saying, because you talk on the game itself, I'm just saying that the game was not as to the result, it was nowhere near close. But if you're looking for what you're looking for, as in like more key players, I would say that the good thing that I saw, Imoran looks like she's getting better with her decision making at left back. So that means she can cement herself as a left back or a left wing back. And I would say she could preferably be even a better wing back than a natural left back. So what that could have done is to free up the space of Plum 3 to become even more either a wing back or a centre back. Because that is something that we had talked about, that maybe this is a system that can transform the stability and passing for Nigeria, and add more pieces to the defense, because centre backs were always the pieces that Nigeria lacks. So Aladipo comes in, Plum 3 showing that she can play centre back as well. It adds a lot more centre backs. So maybe that's the way Nigeria will cross their styles to start playing more possession-based football than anything else. So I thought you were on one there. So even though they played a 4, here, it still showcased that others can deal with certain positions and it could help other people. I wouldn't say in midfield or forward we have learned so much. It's just flat out the defense line. I think we have learned a lot.
No, I would agree. And on that line, I mean, you are seeing more center backs coming in. And I know, based off just for coverage, do you think a back 3 for the Super Falcons should be something they consider as a work on going into AFCON this summer? I mean, they'll have friendlies to get ready for it, but do you think a back 3, which can then translate to a back 5, might be something they should look in? Because when I was the Le Sommer goal, the first one that France scores is just get the ball at the wing, and then it's transition, a few block shots, and eventually it reaches the Sommer and then she scores. But I thought to myself, yeah, your fullback got pinched there. That's unfortunate. If your wingback gets pinched there, you still have a center back standing behind and you can give her some coverage. Do you think a back 3 might be the right option for them, or at least something they should consider going into 2025?
Yes. I think maybe back 3 is the actual solution for them, because based on what I am seeing now, I think that But remember, before they couldn't play because they never had so much centre backs
Yes.
coming through. But now you have Oladipo that showcase that she can play at a higher level because our physical makeup is there, and you have Plum 3, Demian, added to the numbers. O'Haley is also there, so you have more than 5 centre backs now. So I think back 3 is the best way to go. And why that even boosted, you have to say that Imran, Olozi, those are players that would thrive going forward because they also can play winger. You understand me? So them playing that hybrid role would be the best solution. And then in midfield now, you have 2 sitters, Echigini and Jennifer. Those could have been 2 sitters. And maybe Deborah would have other license to go forward now. And then you can get more stability in midfield, stability in defense, and then you just let your forwards do your thing. Nigeria have always waited on a time that their forwards could just say, okay, we're just going to play football free flow. And I can tell you that they would score ridiculous amount of goals, but they have to always be in positions that they can't seem so balanced. You know, they always have to be defending more than anything else. So I think that's the way to go. That's the way to go going into the next year. And I think they can rapidly rise because they have pieces. They have quality pieces. They just need to kind of find a way out to secure their poorer parts, which I would say is their defense at this point, solidify that, and everything will come together.
Yeah, and I think that's true. I think for Nigeria, for me, it's finding the balance within everything. If they can solidify the back line, I mean, it's not. I know it seems like it's throwing rocks and shades. Their back line is not Zambia levels of question marks. Okay, they aren't there. They are at least solid, but I think giving them that extra push. And I always make this point with Canada. I think switching to a back 3 for the Canadians was big for them because Lawrence, Riviere, Carl would always get pushed up in the attack, and then you saw it exploited against Australia at the World Cup. It was just, you're going to give that to us? Okay, put that into space, and we will give you goals as you get ready to pack your bags to go back home. That's just the reality of it. They switch to a back 3. It allows their defender, their backs to move up, but then they also have the freedom to come back. Now you're in a back 5. Your center backs are athletic enough that they can win foot races if they need, but they're also physical enough that any challenge isn't really intimidating for them. So I think for Nigeria, and Canada do compare more roster to roster a lot more than people realize. Just that I think the Canadians they're right now, they're a little bit younger and coming into their own. I think Nigeria has to figure out what that combination is with their emerging talent plus their more established ones. But I think for those two, a back 3 is ideal, and it allows you to really push forward. It might leave you a little bit thin in the middle, but I think they have a strong enough midfielders that it doesn't really affect them too much. So, guys,